Our journey has led us from dark distant days through visions and...
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Wednesday here on the Pagan Perspective. I'm your host Eric. This week we are talking about deity and our relationships to them.
The dark where we cried till we finally sang.
So this week's topic, just in kind of a general, was from Batman 29488. Could you explain to me maybe in a video about Morrighan, please? I've always had a spirit relation with crows and was just wondering if she would be right for me. Also, which god or goddess is in relation to prosperity and gain money, and then goes into some personal stuff that you guys don't need to hear about. Anyhow, the short version of what we're doing this week basically is that we're going to talk about deities that we actually work with and kind of our relationship to them. I am, for purpose of answering the question, going to talk about my experience with the Morrighan. I have worked with her before in other people's rituals, and what I can say about the Morrighan in a very personal experience sort of way is she creeps me out. I understand other people have a different connection with her, very, very different than I do. They expect that she is, I believe, keeper of the dead and things of that nature. I know she has more to do with things than just that, but that's the role that I have experienced her in, and as the keeper of the dead, she reminds me of hell, and hell is someone I have no desire to, get to know on a personal basis. So that's kind of what I would go for. However, I do find it interesting in their comment about having a spirit connection with ravens brings me directly into my deity, which is Odin. Now, Odin is the god of knowledge and the god of perpetual information and the god who went out and got the runes for us, which are the biggest part of my practice. Now, when we're talking about Odin, he has Hugin and Munin, who are the two ravens, and they fly around the world every morning and come to him and tell him of the goings-on of men. So that's one of the ways that he gains his knowledge. He also sits in his chair, which overlooks the world, the nine worlds, and is able to view what's going on everywhere. But Hugin and Munin basically, thought and memory, tell him what's going on in the world of men. So I find that really interesting that he has that raven connection, but mostly the reason I work with Odin is because I seek to gain knowledge. It's not because I need him to help me gain knowledge, but he is an example to look up to attempt to gain knowledge, hopefully not in manipulative or Machiavellian type ways, but someone to look up to, and he did everything he possibly could to gain more knowledge and learn more things and, never stop learning, which I think if you stop learning, you've missed the point. So when it comes to the Raven connection in the Norse mythology, he's also he chooses half the dead in battle to go to his hall and to have a party every day, and lots of debauchery at night, which sounds like lots of fun, but I think I'd probably get sick of that too after too long. But those people that he is taking care of are going to fight with him in Ragnarok at the end of times, according to the mythology, which, as I've stated before, the mythology to me is awesome stories about how even great people do bad things sometimes, and how average people do great things sometimes, and it's just good examples of how to be a good person and how to continue being a good person and how to live your life. So when it comes to the connection that I have with deity, I see Odin very much as a role model and a figure father. Even though he's technically the all-father of the pantheon, I see him as another one of the god types that I like to work with, because He really is about just furthering your knowledge at, I mean, he does it at any cost, and, you know, I can't really agree with that specifically, but I do think that you should always keep learning. When it comes to prosperity and things like that, especially with material prosperity, the two that I would turn to, and I say the two because they're twins, would be Frey and Freya. Now, Frey is the boy, and he has dominion over the animals of the world, and Freya has dominion over all of the plants of the world. And between the two of them, as the old cultures, as the old culture saw, it is not so much what you have, but what you get to use that is your wealth. Having, you know, food and animals to work for you and the means to trade and get what you need is where their value, their monetary bartering value lies. So I think that translates pretty well over into today's standard of monetary currency. So I would go with, if you're looking specifically for someone for a pair of deity to go with, I would definitely go for prosperity with Frey and Freya. Outside of that, my favorite gods to use and to work with in the Norse pantheon is when I have a project to finish, I like to call on Tyr. Tyr is the god of promises and the follow-through, and the god who lost his right hand to the Fenris wolf on a promise to bind the wolf, and because he made the promise, he followed through on the promise, and he's very much the warrior god, the one-handed warrior god. Usually around this time of year, I start looking toward Suna, the sun goddess, which I know that's a little bit weird for some of the people who are used to the sun being male, but in the Norse pantheon, Suna is a, you know, female. She's a goddess, and occasionally a little closer to Yule, I get a little more minded towards Suna and Balder, but generally speaking, I stick with Odin through the course of the majority of the year. I do pay homage to Hel around the same time as Samhain, just because, you know, it's the death of the year, and hoping that she takes care of the year until and takes care of Suna until the time of her rebirth at Yule, and, you know, just things like that. So I use a lot of the pantheon, but there are a few that I don't go after with any vigor, like Odin's wife Frigga, or, you know, some of the other lesser known gods and goddesses. But I just wanted to share a little bit of this with you guys. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to post those in the comment section below. But until not next week, but the week after, I will see you guys later. I hope you have an enjoyable Thanksgiving for all of you, those of you who do celebrate Thanksgiving, whether you live in America or not. But thanks for watching, everybody, and of course, until next time, Odin be with you.
Over forests and hillsides and bright fields of green, sparkling blue lakes, so still and serene, our souls filled with sunlight and the spirits rebirth, the voice of the wild and the song of the earth. We broke the bread, we drank the wine, we lit the flames upon the shrine.